When did you not just dodge a bullet, but evade a full-on ballistic missile strike?
User Formal Mango writes, we were booked to go on a cruise around New Zealand back in December 2019. I was psyched for it. We were going to go on a day tour to a volcano. However, our car had a massive engine issue and we decided to pull the plug because we couldn't afford to fix the car and go away. I'm sitting at work, feeling sorry for myself because I'm not on holiday, when reports start coming in. It was this. On December 9, 2019, Wakari/White Island, an active stratovolcano island in New Zealand's northeastern Bay of Plenty region, explosively erupted. The island was a popular tourist destination, known for its volcanic activity, and 47 people were on the island at the time. 22 people died, either in the explosion or from injuries sustained, including 2 whose bodies were never found and were later declared dead. A further 25 people suffered injuries, with the majority needing intensive care for severe burns. It was horrific. The injuries were terrible. I just sat at work, I work for a news service, watching all the raw vision coming into the office thinking about what might have been. If our car hadn't needed that work done, or we were better with our finances, we would have been on that tour. User Wallyberry J writes, I was traveling in Australia and stayed with this dude for a week or 2. At first he was the coolest guy, but then I quickly realized he was a terrible alcoholic, and a drug dealer that had recently been in prison. One night while I was out, he apparently got completely hammered and was causing a scene at the apartment complex, so the police were called. I show up and see cop cars everywhere. I had enough and just booked a flight for the next morning to see another city. I woke up in the morning and quickly threw my clothes into my bag, was about to leave without even saying goodbye. But I thought that was pretty rude, so I grabbed a pen and started writing a little thank you note to the guy for letting me stay. While writing the note, he wakes up and comes into the common room. I do the whole "oh shoot, sorry I didn't want to wake you but I found a cheap flight leaving right." He responds, "Can I see your bag really quick before you leave?" I think I left something in there. The dude fucking took his stash of meth and put it into my bag when the police showed up the night before. I just didn't notice it in my rush to get packed and leave. I was literally about to go board an airplane and I would have sat there like a moron with the exact same excuse everyone else uses, saying, "It's not mine." Would have been locked up abroad if I didn't decide to write that goodbye note.
User Hippie_Lynn writes, when I moved back to New Orleans in 2004, I looked at 2 different apartments. A and B. I ended up choosing B because it was a little bit larger. I lived there for about 5 weeks and the neighbors were horrendous and management wouldn't do anything about it, so I went back to the other place to see if apartment A was still available. It wasn't, but they had another one downstairs in the building next door. So I ended up moving again, into apartment C. Apartment B flooded several feet in Katrina. Apartment A had the roof ripped off. Apartment C, where I had lived for a year, was fine. I cannot overstress how difficult my life would have been if my apartment had been damaged. Not even taking into account my belongings, it was damn near impossible to find anywhere to live for years after Katrina. It's not an exaggeration to say that if my apartment had been damaged, the entire trajectory of my life probably would have changed. User TEB1987 writes, I was supposed to be in class in the building the morning the shooter shot up Virginia Tech. Me and my buddy in the next dorm had the same class and would often just take turns. We both woke up that morning and both agreed not to go. Turns out the sirens we had heard when we woke up to get ready for class was the police response to the first victim that was in the neighboring dorm. We didn't think much of it because usually there's an ambulance or something early mornings after weekends cause people drink too much or whatever. It wasn't till we were looking out our window across campus seeing everything unfold and then the windows lighting up with gunshots what was really going on. Then a bunch of fully kitted police came off the elevator with ours telling everyone to lock doors and stay inside.
User Peace vs Chaos writes, met a guy online. Had a great first meeting. Made out a little. He mentions he knows a friend of mine. Ask her about him. She sends me his Judici page full of sexual assault convictions including more than 1 statutory rape.